All right. Welcome to Convocation. We're glad you're here. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speakers today. We have Elizabeth Melachrinoudis is the recruitment coordinator for the Be the Match National Marrow Donor Program. I was talking with her a little bit before Convocation today, and I learned a little bit. She's originally from Florida, but now she works out of Denver for Be the Match. She's an MA candidate, a master's candidate at Louisiana State in nonprofit administration. She's always worked for the National Marrow Donor Program. One of my favorite things about her is that she has 3 cats, Willie, Jenny, and Ben. And very interestingly, she's Miss Denver in the Miss America organization. And in fact, that is how she funded, let's give it up. And that is how she funded her master's program. I think that is really cool. All right, Nathan Bradley is our own Snow College. Yay, he's from Snow College. Proud alumnus and current employee of Snow College. As a student, he focused on his business courses and was on the ambassador team. He currently works as the senior buyer for procurement services, so go Badgers. Yeah, all right. He married his lifetime best friend, Charlie Pace, in the summer of 2019. They have 2 beautiful girls who are here today, and they remind them what life is all about. Family is Nathan's passion. They enjoy living in Manti, where they love running their equine business, going up the mountain, and enjoying their time together. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Hello. Oh, check. Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be here. We're going to spend the next hour-ish talking to you about how you're going to help us save lives through unrelated stem cell transplants. So I'd like to start off all of these presentations exactly the same. If you're in the audience or not, I'd love you if you would raise your hand if you have already heard of Be the Match and you've already swabbed your cheeks. Okay, so for those of you that can't see the audience, not a lot of people, this is going to be a lot of fun. So to get it a little bit more serious, I would love if you would raise your hand if you or somebody that you love has lost somebody that they love to cancer. It's a lot more hands, unfortunately. If your hand wasn't up, now you all know me. My name is Elizabeth Melachrinoudis. I am the recruitment coordinator for the Rocky Mountain States for the National Marrow Donor Program. When I was a teenager, both of my parents were diagnosed and lost their battles to cancer. It changed the course of my life. And we're going to spend the next hour talking about how we can create a world where one day nobody has to stand on a stage and say that they lost their parents to cancer. It is my esteemed pleasure to introduce Nathan Bradley, who is going to give you a perspective that I wish I could give, but I've gotten to hear so many times, to talk about his donation experience.
Is it working? Testing. Oh, there we go. Okay.
I couldn't hear mine at
everybody. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Of course.
I had the chance to meet with Elizabeth before I came here today. She has an amazing story as well. And so do you guys. And so I hope that I can play on those stories and explain them so that we can all work together, like Elizabeth said, to make this world a better place. So very excited to be here. Also, I believe we are tuning in to Richfield. Hello, Richfield friends. It was because of Erica down in Richfield that I'm here today. So I say hi to those guys. I have very fond friends there. So today is a good day. Today is a very good day. And every day is a good day to be good. Every day is a good day to be a good person and to be better. And hopefully today we can do that. Make sure my slide is working here. So I'm going to talk about my Be the Match experience, but I'm also going to talk about being the difference, okay? I'm sure Elizabeth will go over a few statistics of what it takes to be a match and to be in the match organization. But I don't want any of you to feel that, I think it's 1 in 430 that you'll become an unrelated match to somebody. And there's maybe like 100 people here, more in Richfield. So maybe one of us might be. But what about the other 429 people? How can you guys be the difference and be the match for somebody else? Maybe it is through a donor, a bone marrow donation, or maybe it is through a smile, or a kind note, or whatever it may be. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. Yes, family is my passion. I'm so glad that they are here. I hope I don't get more emotional. I am an ambassador. I was an ambassador for Snow College ambassador team. Let's hear ya. I knew that you can always count on them. And then I have 2 daughters. We run an equine therapy business and horse lessons in Manti. And those are my daughters. They're my world. So I want to start off. I got to hold myself together. I got a lot of emotions here. I want to start off and talking about this word, altruism. What is altruism, and what do we need to do to be more altruistic? Okay? So the definition of altruism is when we act to promote someone else's welfare, even at the risk or cost to ourselves. Now, why on earth would we want to risk ourselves for somebody else's benefit? That just doesn't seem to correlate. But it does, and it works, and it helps us to be better people. It helps us to have a better world, and we feel more satisfied and we have more self-confidence when we act on altruistic works. Okay? So, a perfect example of altruism is your mother. So, I'm going to read this, and I want you to think of them. I can't read it. Altruism is most commonly thought of as a selfless act that benefits the recipient. We are all recipients of a mother. However, the science behind good deeds suggests that altruism isn't entirely selfless. In fact, some research suggests that helpers may gain more from the altruistic acts than their recipients. I am one of those recipients that have been benefited from selfless acts. And as I go about doing selfless things, I find more benefits, and I receive more than what I give. And it's that way with a mother as well. My wife is going to be like, are you really going to put that picture of me there? And I really love that picture, the one on the bottom, because when she was in labor, because of the medications she threw up in her hair, and so I had to fix her hair. And so that is my hairdo that I did for her in all the commotion of bringing a baby into this world. So I had to put a good picture of her as well. But I think it just tells you what somebody might go through to bring, and selflessly go through to bring somebody to life, to bring somebody here. And if you talk to my wife, it is her greatest joy. She went through 9 months of complete awfulness and sickness, but she will do it again, and because she loves her children. And she has received more purpose and has received more than her sacrifice because of doing that. Now, these are just some things that will happen when you do selfless acts and act on altruism, okay? Release endorphins, okay? There is a chemical release in your brain. I don't know if you've ever done a good deed and you're like, man, that felt good, right? Feeling satisfaction helps you feel more grateful for what you have, distracts you from your own problems, and improves physical health. And I love what about Bob, right? If you are ever self-reflecting like, man, my life is tough. I'm really stressed out. I have all these problems. Well, if you need to take a vacation from your problems, try doing selfless acts. Okay? Now, I'm going to talk about the timeline, about what it was like for me when I was asked to be a bone marrow donor. So in 2019, here at Snow College, we had a service project that I helped develop. I was on the ambassador team. I was doing it with another ambassador, and we invited Be the Match to come, and they all did swab testing for the people who participated. And me and my wife got on the registry. We're like, this is really cool, but probably will never get a call. Well, in October 27th, 2021, I get a call. And they say, you are a possible match. And I was a little surprised. I'm like, cool, now what? And they gave me this email, and I had to go through this process to ensure that I would be a good match for whoever they were, for whoever would be receiving this donation. So now that I put an embarrassing photo of my wife, I have to put an embarrassing photo of myself as well. And this is me getting all my physical exams done. They had to draw blood. They had to do some crazy things, monitoring your heart and everything. And so that's my embarrassing photo. There's more to come, I'm sure. And so we started embarking on this process of becoming to donate to this recipient. Later on, they decided to fly us out. I kind of skipped ahead. After the exams, they says, you are the match. And we want you to come out and to Georgetown, Washington, D.C. God, goodness gracious. And go to and do this donation for us. And I says, well, that's great. I'm super excited. But I have one issue. My wife is pregnant. And on the date you told me to come, she will be 37 weeks pregnant. And for any of you who have ever had a pregnant wife, that's really close. That is really close that, you're getting a baby any day. I can't say enough to the Be the Match organization and my representatives. They really pulled through to make this possible. They flew my wife's my mother-in-law, to Manti to be with my wife because she couldn't get on a plane. I mean, you don't just start getting on planes when you're 37 weeks pregnant.
How you have a baby on a plane.
Yeah, exactly. And so they flew my mother-in-law in, and then my mother, who I believe is here, she came with me to Washington, D.C. to do this bone marrow transplant. And we got there on February 6th, and I was so glad that I had the opportunity to be in Georgetown and to see the Arlington Cemetery. And it made me think of altruism and being selfless and all those people who sacrificed their lives so that we could be here and to have the freedoms that we have and to live a life of posterity and to live a life of happiness. And that really struck me. And though what I was doing was not as maybe honorable as what they were doing, but it struck me that we really do live in a great world with a lot of good things. And I think all of us can tie into that and add to that. The very next day, I went in for my operation. I'll briefly talk about that. I just wanted to check my time. There's a clock here. Okay.
You're good.
So I was asked, and Elizabeth will go into details, there's two types of donations. I did the bone marrow donation. So basically what that is a surgeon. It's general anesthesia, so they knock you out. I had a doctor from Germany. He was awesome. He came in with these big glasses, says, we're super excited to have you here. This is what's going to happen. I'm like, okay. And I was all by myself. I wish my mommy was with me, but because of COVID, I had to go by myself in Washington, D.C. into the hospital and be like, hey, I'm here to give some bone marrow. And the doctors and nurses were just great. And the surgeon went in and talked about what we're going to do. And he says, we're going to lay you down right on your belly, and we're going to put 2 incisions. Well, not incisions, but they're going to take a big hollowed needle, and they're going to go on each side of my back, and they're going to take that in, and they're going to extract bone marrow, which is harvest the immature cells that will go into the recipient. And he was telling me it's just basically a big syringe, and we just pull it out, and then we send it off, and then it arrives to your recipient, and then they will put it into your recipient. I'm like, well, all right, sounds good. Let's go for it. And I actually, general anesthesia, it was nice. I had a great nap, woke up with a huge patch on my back, and some wonderful nurses. One of my favorite things of the experiences was this middle photo. They put this heated balloon blanket on you because I was so cold after surgery, and I wish they would have gave that for me for the night, because it was just so nice to just snuggle to that tight. They call it a bear hug or something. I don't know if there's any nurses, a bear blanket, and it just hugs you and it warms you up, which was really nice. And so that was me in my donation process. And then the very next day, we fly out of Washington, D.C., and they actually flew us first class back to Utah.
I don't know if they do that for everybody.
I mean, Be the Match really pulled it out for us. So, and then 2 weeks later, this happened. And so it all worked out. And it was a miracle that we were able to do this. My recipient is an 8-year-old boy who has leukemia. Now, Be the Match keeps things very private and confidential, and so that is all I know about my recipient. However, I will be informed if he will like to make contact with me a year after my donation date, and I hope that's the case, if he survives. This whole experience was absolutely life-changing. The donation went really well. Just a little side fact, I just wanted to say this since my wife is here. The surgeon that did my donation says, I have very potent cells. I'm like, hey, wife, I have very potent cells. Isn't this great? And so it was a huge confidence builder to me, because I had lived a healthy life, where I didn't consume drugs, I didn't have STDs, and these are all questions they ask you, because your blood has to be in prime condition in order to be put into another body. And it really made me feel good that I lived a life that I could benefit somebody like this. And so I hope you guys realize that your decisions really do affect other people. You being a good person really does have a huge effect on the world around you. And there are extreme benefits to being a good person. Now, is being selfless selfish? Well, I know there's certain definitions with selfishness, but maybe I can play on the good things of selfishness. I think being selfless is really the way that we can be happy and that we can have value into our lives. And if that's the case, then yeah, I think it maybe is a little bit more selfish. But we don't want to focus on that. We want to focus on how we can make a difference. Kai Noah Anderson, he is a local of Manti. He is a boy who had leukemia. And he was going to possibly get a bone marrow transplant, but they determined that it was not necessary, which is good. But his mom did a little write-up for us. He says, today, while Kai Noah is better than where he was 2 years ago, he still has quite a way to go before he is considered cancer-free. He is still battling with his cancer. Each day is a miracle and a testament that modern medicine is doing its job to help them get there. This experience has definitely been a trying one for him and our whole family. It takes a village. But it has also been something that I hope can be looked at as a blessing to be able to witness modern medicine, healing people like him, as well as the blessing to be able to see family members, friends, and communities of all sorts of brands together to support one person. I hope that Kainoa is able to look back at this experience and see that although all of the hardships, it has also given us a huge miracle. Kainoa has to be selfless. He didn't ask to have cancer, but look at where it's taking him as well. They say it's a blessing. One person who has given me a lot of passion to help with cancer is this lady. This is Kelsie Albee. Her mother is here today. Jerlene, thanks for being here. She was diagnosed with cancer when we were in high school, both me and my wife. She says, we don't always have control over what is happening in our lives. Sometimes you are just along for the ride and have to hold on until it's over. Have hope. Miracles are real. Nothing is permanent. We constantly evolve and change throughout life. There will be times when you feel as if you have nothing left to give. There will always be times when your heart is so full of joy it could burst. When you feel like you are at your limit, someone will come to your aid. You guys will be that person. You guys will be that match. You guys will be that difference. That is what Kelsie is saying. Look for the helpers in life. You will find good people who are ready and willing to love you and lift you. Even if there are no words to describe the hurt you feel, trust that it will be okay. Remember that you are so much more stronger than you think, and you are the one person you have to be is yourself. She's a phenomenal example, and she was one in high school that I'm like, gosh, I wish I could be more like her. And then this next person that has inspired me greatly, he is also here today. I hope I can get through this. Jeremy, if you just stand up for just a minute. He's a very inspiring man. I was an ambassador advisor when he was ambassador. Thank you, Jeremy. He wrote this. Maybe you guys should just read it.
I can read it for you. Having cancer has enriched my life in so many ways. It was during these battles I discovered strength inside of me. I learned how to trust God and let go of things I could not control. I found peace amidst adversity. Because of cancer, I have more grit, compassion, love, positivity, and desire to serve others. I appreciate every breath I take and have a deeper understanding of my purpose in life. Cancer has been one of the most sacred gifts in my life. Despite adversity and hardship, I know if we choose to allow light into our lives, we can learn and grow in ways we didn't know were possible.
Jerem was selfless. You know, what 21-year-old would want this to happen? But yet he says that it has been one of the most sacred gifts of his life. Even though it has taken so much of his life away, he has found value in being selfless and being a good person. Thank you for that example, Jeremy. Now, yes. Thank you. That was to you, by the way. You gain more than you lose. This is a letter that I wrote to my recipient why I was doing my bone marrow donation. I know very little about you and the circumstances that you are in, but I know that you are a fighter. I would like you guys to think of my recipient for just a minute. Can you guys all be my recipient? Okay? I'd like you guys to think that you guys are fighters. I know that you are strong. and that you have great worth and value. I also know that you are loved. I know that you are strong, and you are here for a great purpose. You guys are all here for a great purpose. I know these things about you because you have served a great purpose in my life. Now, there's many of you who I don't know, but you're here learning about this. So thank you. Even though my donation or my speech is nothing compared to what you may be going through, I want you to know that you guys have given me purpose. You have helped me to feel loved, and you have helped me to be strong. You are an influence, and you have made a difference in my life. You have contributed a great deal to my faith. Thank you. The future is probably scary for you, and you don't know what will happen as you move forward. Regardless of the unknown, I hope you know how important you are. We have been praying a great deal for the success, for your success and the success of this donation. We have also seen many miracles that have taken place. My situation was not ideal. I could have missed the birth of my child. We are amazed of the many obstacles that have been moved just so we could provide you with this opportunity. We love you, and we're cheering you on. You guys can read the rest of that. But I hope you guys feel a purpose for the people around you and how much they care about you and the selfless acts that have happened in your life. When you gain more than you lose, when it's not about you. That what we do and why we do what we do really isn't about us. What really brings value into our lives are the relationships that we have. If we're always self-centered and we're always thinking about ourselves, then I think we will look back on our life and it won't be pleasant. But when we turn outward to the people around us, we find value, and we find hope, and we find satisfaction. And so I really want to drive that message to you. These are people who have made a difference in my life. Now, who has made a difference in your life? Now, I want you guys, before I end, I want you guys, if you can, make a list of people who have made a difference in your life and how they made you feel and how they have made you better. And then, that isn't the to-go bell, is it?
No, it's not the to-go bell yet.
Good. How can you be the difference to somebody else? Now, we will all have the opportunity to swab test. But I want to invite you to do a few things to be the difference. I had lots of notes, but I didn't even go through them today. To be the difference, smile. To be the difference, look up. Especially as you're walking down this sidewalk. Too many people, as you walk down the sidewalk, are like this. Don't be afraid to look up and to make eye contact with somebody, okay? Have face-to-face conversations. Laugh with somebody. Say, I love you. Express gratitude and say, I'm sorry. Thank you guys so much for letting me share this experience with you. I hope this message is giving you the motivation to be selfless. And I'm going to turn the time over to Emily.
Well, what an act to follow. You couldn't have made it easy for me, right? So that was such a great intro to what Be The Match does. And very candidly, we save lives, like how Nathan saved the life of that little 8-year-old boy. And we do this by facilitating blood stem cell transplants to patients that do not have a match within their family. It is only about a 25% chance that if you were in need of a transplant that you would ever match with a full-blooded sibling. Now, I don't have any full-blooded siblings, so if I was to ever need a transplant, I would have to come to Be The Match. As you watch this presentation, everybody who is on the screen, every person, every picture, is either someone who donated, someone who received a donation, or somebody who needs a donation. So I encourage you to not just read the words on the screen, but to really think about the people that really look at the screen and see the people there as well. Every 3 minutes, somebody in the United States is diagnosed with a life-threatening blood cancer or disorder. So by the time we're done here today, about 20 new people will be in need of someone like you. We provide hope. That's really what we do. I get to say every day when somebody asks me what I do for work, I say I get to save lives and I get to bring hope to families like mine. We were started in 1987 because a family in northern Colorado said yes and was willing to take the leap and the courageous idea to facilitate an unrelated transplant to their daughter, Laura. That transplant worked and ended up giving that family months more with their daughter and more memories to make. And since then, since that family's courageous decision, we have facilitated over 100,000 life-saving transplants. And that's a huge number. We facilitated that number in 2020, and we hope we are looking like we're on track to do 100,000 more over the next years. Now, you'll hear me talk about blood cancer, but a marrow or stem cell transplant is a cure for over 70 different blood cancers and diseases. So you'll most commonly hear leukemia, lymphoma, but also sickle cell disease, aplastic anemia, and my personal favorite is the inherited immune disorders. And what's so cool about this is we keep finding out new things that transplants can cure, because a patient will go in because they need a transplant for their leukemia. They will wake up after their transplant and they won't have lupus anymore. And so we kind of like get to double dip on some of these things, because what happens when you receive a transplant is the patient's whole immune system will get wiped out, and they will absorb the immune system of their donor. And that's kind of what Nathan was saying, is him having the good cells really is important, because that 8-year-old boy is now Nathan's genetic twin. So you're probably thinking, how does this work? Nathan said about 1 in 430 people that join the registry will go on to be someone's match, and that is because we get a lot more in-depth than the A, B, O, positive, negative of the blood donation or the organ donation. If you've ever played bingo, your HLA type is kind of like that, except young people don't appreciate bingo the way they should. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. And then you can have A1 through 60, B1 through 60, C1 through 60. So if you've ever played bingo and it pops out B9, it's kind of what your HLA type is. So if my HLA type is A1, B2, C3, D4, E5, my recipient would also have to be A1, B2, C3, D4, E5. And this means that a lot of times, if you are called as a match, you are the only person in the world that could save that individual's life. And that's why the odds are so low. It also means that there are certain HLA types, number letter combinations, that are only found within certain ethnic backgrounds. I know that A21 specifically is only found in Southeast Asian individuals. Now, I'm not Southeast Asian. That means that my HLA type is never going to have A21 on it, which means you are most likely to donate to somebody of your similar ethnic background. But this also has led to a bit of a disparity within our registry. If you take a look at these numbers, all those faces are people that need transplants or receive transplants. If you take a look at that white number, that means that 79% of white patients who are in need of a transplant and come to be the match searching for a donor are going to find it. But that means that 21% of those people aren't. And that goes all the way down to the African American number that is only at 29%. So that means that 71% of African American patients that need a transplant and come to be the match looking for one will not find one and will pass away from their disease. So it can get really startling when you look at this, and none of them are at 100. That means that everybody in this room probably has a unique HLA type and is going to help us somehow by joining the registry. That's why it's so important that even if only one person signs up today or 100 people sign up today, you could fill in the gaps that are sitting there right now. And the goal, of course, why I do this, why I've dedicated my life to be the match, is to create a world where one day all of those numbers are at 100% and I'm out of a job. So this is a really great way to live your values. Like we said, you are most likely going to help somebody who looks like they could be your family member. If you see if you ever are interested to go on the Be The Match YouTube channel, if you feel like crying, bring a tissue. There are lots of videos of donors meeting their recipients. Now, these are strangers whose lives have been interconnected, and they almost always look like they could be siblings. And that's because genetically, they almost are. And this is a really great way to help people. It's really people helping people. And like we said, most of the time when a donor matches a recipient, they're the only person. And so that's why it's so important that we get people, even if you feel like you can't do any good in this world. I heard someone say once that you're in college, so you must have a little bit of change the world in you if you're sitting here. And you could be the one person that changes that person's whole world. So we're going to play Lauren's story, I think if the tech team cues it up, or I can. Lauren is a really interesting donor. She donated peripheral blood stem cells, which is the other type of donation that's different than the one that Nathan did. And let's see, maybe. If not, it's okay. But she also donated to a little boy, which is really interesting that we've had that connection. If not, that is totally okay. We can send that out, or you can always put it on our YouTube channel. So the two types of donation, 83% of the time, so Nathan not only had good cells, but he was a rarity. 83% of the time, donors give peripheral blood stem cells, but I'll just say PBSC because peripheral gets kind of caught in the mouth. It's extremely similar to donating platelets. So if you've ever been into a blood center and seen somebody hooked up to each arm, that's what our blood stem cell donation process is like. So you take out the blood out of one arm, they swirl it around in an apheresis machine and give you everything else back except your blood stem cells. And when the blood stem cells are in their bag, they look a lot like tomato soup. You just get to hang out in a comfy chair for 4 to 6 hours. You get to bring a friend. A lot of the donor centers have TVs or like an Xbox that you can play while you're hanging out there, and you get to walk out that same day and your cells go to save someone's life. The other 17% of the time is the donation process that Nathan went through. It's the actual surgical procedure, but there's not even stitches. I like to say that it just makes for better Snapchat content because you're in a hospital and people feel bad for you, but you are under anesthesia, so you don't feel anything. Most people that have donated say that it's like if you've ever slipped on the ice and you bruise your hip. It hurts, but it's not unbearable. You just kind of feel it the next day. Something that's really big in the media right now is DNA and what we're doing with it and how safe is it. Swabbing with Be The Match today is just like if you were to swab at your doctor. Your genetic information is encoded. We're not going to sell it to the FBI. It's all very safe. And it's free. So Nathan said that he went to DC. Everything is covered from your flights to your tolls to your mileage on your car, food. We even covered daycare and pet care.
And also salary compensation.
Yes.
So thanks for our payroll here at Snow College.
Yes, if you have to take time off work, we can also reimburse you for your salary, which is really cool. And all the medical costs are covered. And it doesn't take long to save a life. We say it takes about 20 to 30 hours, so don't think that if you're signing up today and swabbing your cheek that we're sending you off for 6 months to do something. It takes only 20 to 30 hours, but that's spread out from the moment you get the email to when you walk out of that donation center. We say it's about the same time it would take to binge a Netflix series, but I feel like they're making the episodes shorter, the seasons shorter. You maybe need to do 2 seasons there. So who can be a donor? The biggest disqualifier is that we register people between the ages of 18 and 40, and that's because our most asked for donors from the oncologists are young people, normally between the ages of 18 and 35. Those give the best outcomes for our patient. That's why Nathan was such a good match for his little boy. We also don't have the same health guidelines that blood donation has. So if you're somebody like me who says, I've never been able to donate blood, my iron is too low, or I was born in England during mad cow disease, those things don't matter to Be The Match. We also don't care about tattoos and piercings. We accept members of the LGBTQ community, and we don't have height and weight requirements. So if you are somebody who really wants to change the world but has never been able to donate blood, joining the Be The Match registry is a really exciting way that you can do that. So now I'm going to offer time for questions, unless your question is, this is so awesome and incredible, how do I sign up? Because we'll get to that after. And if your question is, where did you get this fabulous outfit? The answer is Dillard's. Questions? I think there's a mic coming around, but I just ask, there are no stupid questions. I just ask, I am not a medical professional. Please don't embarrass me. Questions? Perfect.
So I was wondering 2 things really quick. So are there any medical conditions that will be worrying for us to not be able to donate?
Yeah, so on the first page of the registration, it will list out all of them. Some that I can think off the top of my head is diabetes, if you have cancer, if you have HIV, if you have had 6 or more concussions, things, they're all on the front list. There's also, I have a pamphlet, I have a piece of paper on the table outside that will go really in depth. But there are some, but it's that first page of registration. So if you're not sure, I'd try to register, and it will kick you out if you are not eligible. Good question.
And then also, how long after we get registered does it usually take to find a match that you can help with?
So that definitely depends. I have seen it as early as 6 weeks. I have seen it as late as 20 years. I registered when I was 18. Nobody's wanted me yet, but you stay on the registry until you're 61. So I have a few years left. You were on for 2 years? Yeah. If there's somebody in need that's waiting and refreshing the registry, waiting for somebody to sign up, you could sign up today, and as soon as it gets typed at the lab, you could match with somebody. Any other questions?
I know you kind of mentioned this with the amount of donations you've collected, but I'm wondering, how long have you guys been an established organization?
So we were established in 1987.
Good question.
Good question, yeah. It's like Be the Match trivia.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, it looks like there's one back there.
There's one hand back there.
Allergies do not affect your registry status, but I can tell you that your allergies will transfer to your donor. So if you are allergic if you're allergic to strawberries, hope your recipient doesn't like strawberries. But what is also cool about that is sometimes kids that need a transplant and have peanut allergies wake up and their donor doesn't have peanut allergies, so they get to eat Reese's, which is the best part, besides the cancer cure.
How long was it for your recovery doing the thing?
Yeah, so after recovery, so they flew me back, so I was physically able to get on a plane, even though they had to take me in a wheelchair in the airport.
Oh, you were one of those
people? I had to really suck up my pride there. But I went home, my back was sore. It felt like I had been shoeing horses for 2 days. But I went to work the next week, and it wasn't bad at all. You come back with a sore back, and it's equivalent, at least what my surgeon told me, it's equivalent to 5 blood donations. So what really got me was being dizzy, I would stand up too quick and you get lightheaded. You're like, whoa, I don't have the cells I used to have. But after that, after at least 3 weeks, I didn't feel any side effects at all.
Cool, so now to get you guys out of here on time, we're gonna go through the registration process. If you have any questions, I'm gonna be here, so feel free to come up and ask either of us. So the fun stuff. So now that we've convinced you, Nathan, we've done all that we can, and you're like, heck yeah, I wanna do this. You're gonna either text the word SNOW to 61474, or you're gonna scan this QR code, and I'm gonna keep going, but their QR code will come back, so don't worry if you miss it this time.
This is where you pull out your phone.
Yes,
right,
this is
Cheryl?
okay, yes.
You said put them away, but now put...
You're gonna click join the registry, and it's gonna take you to that first page where it asks you about your medical history. Once you get past that, you're gonna go through everything, should take you about 5 minutes, and this is the most important slide, so look up for your phones for a second. It's gonna ask you if you want a swab kit mailed to your house or if you're gonna be swabbing with a kit today. Now, if you're somebody who's watching this virtually, you're gonna click that you want a swab kit shipped to you, and in a couple of weeks, one will show up at your door, and you will swab and drop it. It's prepaid, you just gotta drop it back in the mailbox. But if you are here in front of me today, you're gonna click, I'll be swabbing with the kit today, and if somebody here today clicks that they want it sent to their house, boo, shame, we can't help you. So make sure that you click that you're gonna be swabbing with the kit today, and then it's gonna ask you for a swab kit number. And you're not gonna know what that is. So you're gonna have to come to the table that's out in the lobby, and we're gonna get you that swab kit number.
And Richfield, they do have swab kits
Yes.
in Richfield.
Yes.
So same thing that's happening here is happening in Richfield.
Yes, if you are at the Richfield campus, exactly, thank you. You will get the swab kit, The instructions are are on the top of the kits. It sounds very complicated. I tell you, I have
Nice.
Okay.
When you guys come back, we're gonna have our just swab testing right here in the lobby. I'm pretty sure this is a drill. If not, do your thing. But come back in the lobby if we're still standing, and we will do the swab testing. We'll be here as long as you need us to be. At least an hour. We might move over to Club Rush as well.
That is, you